What's your name? Where you from, brother?
My name is Malek. I'm originally from Iraq. I reside in Salt Lake City, Utah.
And for those that don't know anything about your upbringing, describe briefly, how you came up.
How I came up, simple, thug life, went to prison, used to gangbang, did about 11 and a half years in prison.
And what led you to that?
The first time I went there for a couple shootings, escaped from DT, and a gun when I was 16 years old. That led me to prison, did 5 years, did the time, got out about a year and a half, got involved with a whole bunch of crazy shit, had a team of people, a couple people robbed some people, 23 people actually, 23 vital lives is what I got charged with. They ended up getting hit, snitched, told them that I sent them, ended up doing 6.5 years, and now I'm free, 3 years later.
So do you feel like you were hanging out with the wrong crowd, or do you just feel like it was more like you had a point to prove, or what was it?
That's a good question. I don't believe it was the wrong crowd, man. I don't blame nobody for it. I believe that I put myself in a position to let somebody tell on me. I'm not even mad at the people that told on me. I should have never gave them that opportunity to tell on me. I should have known better,
Yeah,
it's real.
100%. And being that the audience doesn't know that you're, from a Middle Eastern background, was your upbringing more strict, or did you just, because, growing up, I disobeyed the rules plenty of times. Got suspended from school, got my ass whooped by my mama.
Right.
What was it like for you?
Realistically, growing up a Middle Eastern from Iraq, the parents are very violent, and it's not an American violence, or the American culture will never understand the type of violence that we come from. It's not about, who can cause more violence, but I will tell you this is the type of violence that it comes, it's embedded. There is no rules, there's no laws. So imagine the type of violence you're going to get in your household than you would if there is a law. So you're going to be limited. Out there, they believe in like honor killings. If you look it up, honor killings are people that kill you within your own family in the honor of the last name. So these are things that people hold on to, and they have beliefs, and they believe it's okay. In the honor of my last name that you disrespected and you did not hold it together, we have an honor killing if we wanted to. And everybody would actually praise you if you did that. So it's like, okay, you respected your last name. So I came from a culture of pride, ego, respect, and we sit on that shit.
Do you feel like some of those traditions, carried through to your prison bid and how you adjusted to your time?
Yeah, most definitely, man. I believe so, because when I went into the lockup system, I started gangbanging. It had the same principles of violence, which is something that I was already used to, accustomed to. Second, who could stand on it? Same. Who could stand on it? Who could stand on it the longest? Who could be more brutal? Who can make it last longer? Who can actually stand on that and die for that shit? And being locked up, I've noticed that a lot of people, they're really not about that life. They didn't come from that type of background. They want to be cool, so they want to be violent with others. They want to be cool. They want to start gangbanging, but very few. You'll know the real ones. You'll know that's what it is. You really know it's the real
Speaking of gangbanging, speaking lightly, what's the craziest thing that you've seen inside prison being involved in gang activity?
God, craziest thing I've seen. Yeah, I told you on a different interview another scene that I've seen, but there was a neighbor. So I can't say I've seen it because he was my neighbor, and you were maximum security in the gang room. So I'm not gonna say I've seen it, but I heard everything. Okay, they were actually friends. It was I won't say no. There were two friends. They got in a fight, and it was right after dinner. So the cuff ports are open. So we're listening to everything. They're fighting. Boom, 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 boom. You hear the rumbles, and then you hear like a little like a squeal noise, like somebody got kicked. And then you still hit the rumbles, dong, 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 dong. And it's everywhere. The whole section is silent. Cops came in. As they came in, they pulled them both out. Anyone that's from Utah knows the story. That was Utah State Prison, I should say. The individual that came out, the first one, walked out like he was fine. A couple bruised up on his face, but he was fine. The second guy came out, not a scratch on him. And it was interesting that, nothing It was just a fight, but we heard so much noise. They both came out walking. And then they just, police unit come in, the correctional officers come in, but detectives come with them about 2 hours later. This shit gets interesting. They start coming and they cover our windows. I'm like, okay, now this shit got interesting. They covered our windows. They locked our cuffboards. And now we're on lockdown. No motion. Like usually, we're behind the damn window and we can't see anything, but we can hear a lot of footwork. We can't even tell you how much footwork we hear. Push got to shove. It pops up on the news why we're still on lockdown. I guess the first dude that got out with just a couple of bruises died. They never knew he was bleeding.
Internally?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, remember remember that noise that we said? We're thinking. We're not gonna say for sure. Like we know exactly. But we're thinking that punctured his shit on the inside. So he was bleeding the whole time as he was walking out, as he was getting questioned, about to go to the hole, until I guess supposedly he passed out, and then they took him to the hospital, did all the shit, and then they pronounced him dead. And that's when they came in. That's why it was only a couple, 2-3 hours, I would say, and they started slamming the things on the windows. So I thought that was interesting, man, because those two dudes, real story is, they were friends from the streets. They got in a fight together, with each other in jail. When they were in that section, they were friends that they moved in together. And now, one is doing forever and a half in the hole. He went nuts, by the way. That guy went nuts in the hole. That dude went nuts. Meaning he breaks sprinklers. He just became one of those guys. And at the time, he wasn't one of those guys.
Wow.
So I thought that was very interesting, man, to see.
That's definitely a crazy story.
Yeah.
So over 11 years incarcerated, right?
11 and a half, yeah.
11 and a half years incarcerated. What put the decision in your head after seeing all this, after running with gangs, after, being a part of violence inside and outside? What instilled it in your brain that, hey, it's time to chill out, it's time to get some money, and just not be a part of that revolving door anymore? At what point in your bid did you feel that, and what was going through your head?
I think it was at 28 years old. I remembered when I was around some active gang members, they were shitting on each other. They were all about doing drugs, but everybody was being betrayal. Very rare did I see a loyal motherfucker to the soil behind each other's back. Then when I stopped gangbanging, I went around the non-actives, and I can't be around these guys because I'm not okay with snitching. I'm not. I'm not okay with being a check-in or a rape or being a bitch. I'm not okay with that either. But I'm not okay with you motherfuckers either. I'm not okay with you because you're doing fucking drugs, but you're on this little homie for doing drugs, but you're actually doing it too. So it's just so much fuckery that I figured out. I want more. Like being tough, yes, you can only go so far being tough. Judge somebody not by their toughness. Judge them by their character. How do they hold themselves? How do they hold their word? I bet if you judge people by that, not about what they look like, their tattoos, or their muscles, or, oh, this guy's so tough, he'll shoot you. Take that out the picture. And in prison, just look at someone's character and see how do they carry themselves. What do they value? What's their priorities?
Wow, that's deep. That's definitely deep. And where can people find you at on YouTube and Instagram?
So on YouTube, you find me at MALEK_1000. You can find me on Instagram as MALEK_Al-Janabi, or you can find me on TikTok. It's Malek Al-Janabi.
And if you have anything to say to the struggling audience, there's people out there struggling, whether it be with addiction or with criminal thinking or criminal patterns of thinking, or gangbanging in general. If you had something to say that could steer them off the right, the wrong path onto the right path, what would you tell them?
I don't want to be that guy to tell you don't do it. It's just a dead end. I don't want to be that guy because I heard that shit my damn self. I don't give a fuck. Just think for yourself. What do you want? Okay, anything you want, there has to be an end game to it, right? So if you're going to gangbang, what's the end game there? When does it end? Is it life in prison? Are you okay with that? If you're okay with that, then that means when that shit happens, don't fold. That means that's something you're okay with, being life in prison. Okay, you want to do drugs. You're going to be an addicted junkie out in the streets. If you're okay with that, do that. If you're okay with that. The only thing that there is no ending is how much money can you make in public. in society with taxes? How much money can you make? What can you put together with your mind to provide to a community, to society, that can generate you money, 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 and never ending? There is no fucking end game. It's so hard that people decide to play a game that will end instead of a game. There is no end game. It's hard. So it's up to you.
I appreciate you sharing your story with us today, man. That was some real shit, bro. I appreciate that. Y'all go follow Malek, Malek_1000.